My name is John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be John and Cassandra, Video 3, Meeting Cassandra, Part 4. That is John meeting Cassandra. So here is my novella, John and Cassandra, Fair is Fair, and my name, of course. So the big fellow in the middle is Apollo, a god. The two little people are John and Cassandra, two humans. Now here's the summary as printed on the back cover of the novella. Author John Passfield contemplates writing a novel about the mythological figure Cassandra. Suddenly, he finds himself in the presence of her tormentor, Apollo, the god who seemingly on a whim has brought a catastrophic curse down on the head of an innocent human. Now, she's a human character. That's why she's human. She's mythological because she's in a book that has lasted for a couple of thousand years in the human repertoire of great books. John sees Cassandra as a mythical creature whose helpless situation epitomizes all that is wrong on the planet Earth. So she represents all the misery on Earth. What a chance to confront a representative of the gods. Ask him to explain such actions. Why is there misery on earth? And demand an immediate end to all the agony in the world. So that's a big task that John, in his daydream, has given himself. In chapter 1 of the story, John is sitting beside the river in the village near where he lives and polishing a few pages of a novel on which he's been working. Preying on his mind, though, is the fact that a major war has just broken out halfway across the world. Now, I'm recording this in 2024, but I was writing John and Cassandra in February 2022. So Russia invaded the Ukraine. A major war broke out while I was planning and writing this novella. At some level of his mind, John imagines himself to be thrust into the midst of the Trojan War. I'll read that again. At some level of his mind, John imagines himself to be thrust into the midst of the Trojan War. In chapter 3 of this story, he meets the girl Cassandra, a princess on the Trojan side. So let's look at chapter 3, page 13. This is Cassandra speaking to John. Whoops, I've got the wrong page here. Here we are. Okay, page 13. Start at the beginning. Okay. Cassandra speaks to John. So, it's you again, John. I haven't seen you for a while. I wondered whether you'd gone away. I've looked for you in the throne room, at the temple, in the crowd, at the palace gates. You're the only one who will listen to what I'm saying. I get tired of people who turn their backs and walk away. So we'll skip about a page of other imagery and go on to the second segment of Cassandra speaking to John during their meeting. Oh, why do you believe me? Why do you believe me when no one else does? Why are you alone exempt from Apollo's curse? Well, Apollo's curse is that she knew the future. She could see the future, but that no one would believe her. So here's John believing her. My family is becoming quite hostile, says Cassandra to John. They pray to the gods for future favors, but they don't want to know what is coming next. So far, it's only been small things, but the predictions are getting darker, more ominously sinister day by day. The snakes are hissing that there's going to be a major prediction about Troy. So the future is given to Cassandra by snakes who speak to her, who whisper in her ears. You're the only one who believes me, John. Do you know how refreshing that is? Can you tell the people of the palace, my parents and their advisors, make them believe me when I talk? Do you think that you could persuade them to listen to you? So Cassandra, a human character in this story, asks John, a human, for help. Okay, let's skip another page of imagery and go on to the third segment of Cassandra speaking to John at their first meeting. You know, John, I can see the past and the future of everyone here at Troy, but I can't see a thing where you are concerned. You are beyond my powers of discernment, a creature of another realm. You mentioned Canada to me once before, but I know nothing about that place. In fact, I heard nothing of what you said beyond that word. For a moment, when you first appeared in the palace garden, I thought that you were a god in disguise. I asked you, remember, to speak to the other gods? Okay, again, we'll skip a page or so of other imagery and go on to the fourth segment of the meeting, the first meeting between Cassandra and John. Cassandra speaks again. You appear and disappear. You're here and then you're gone. You seem to have no mortal existence. To me, you seem like a god. I'm sure sometimes that you are a god in disguise. I sense your empathy, your kindness, your concern. Please, John, use your influence in the conclaves. Speak to the other gods of the pain which accompanies Apollo's curse. Well, that's the first meeting of John and Cassandra. So here's a note about that. Scientists tell us that we not only have dreams, but while sleeping, we often have dream after dream after dream on different topics for hours at a time. Excuse me. We also daydream as we go about our daily lives. These daydreams and these night dreams, these daymares and these nightmares, happen at such a deep level in our minds that we're not conscious of them unless, as we are sleeping, we wake up and catch a glimpse of a highly visual story that has been playing in our minds. Now, in this story, John is consciously proofreading a novel on which he's been working while sitting beside the river in the village near his home. However, John has been quite aware, quite conscious, that while watching the news on TV or scanning the screen on his computer or listening to his car radio, that a major war has broken out in the global village in which he lives. So this makes it quite logical that at some level of his mind, he imagines himself to be present at a war that he's been reading about all his life, and that is the Trojan War, which we are told took place perhaps 3,000 years ago. John's conscious mind is thinking of the novel that he's completing, which only needs a few more weeks of polishing to be ready to send to his publisher. But his subconscious mind is considering the concept that the life that is captured in the greatest books of literature is exactly the life that all humans live on an everyday basis. So what's the difference between our war and the consequences to the people on the ground and that war 3,000 years ago, that war which may be actual and may be fictional? Or in the book, of course, the Iliad by Homer is a mixture of both reality and fiction, history and fiction. So let me pick up on this. Not everyone lives in a war zone, but everyone is aware of what sadly seems to be the natural tendency of human beings to try to settle their differences by conflict. So war is as old as the human, I guess you could say. And as we all now live in a global village, we are all aware that there's warlike conflict every day somewhere in the world. Writers are the conscious daydreamers and night dreamers of the human community. They seek to create what all dreamers create, stories which explore what it is like to be a human who is living on this planet Earth. So a novel or a poem, the Iliad is a poem, this is actually a novella, a daydream, they're all the same thing. They're all trying to create a story which illustrates what it is to be human on this earth. So, once again, this is my novella, John and Cassandra, Fair is Fair. It can be found on Amazon. My publisher's website is roxmillspress.com. Excuse me again, where there's more information. My website is johnpassfield.ca, where there's 2 free books. I always write a planning notebook as I'm planning on writing a novel or novella. I always write a journal as I'm polishing, a novel or novella. So those are on my website at johnpassfield.ca. If you click on the cover icon, you get to read them for free. They're all about, not only about this topic and about wars, but about what it is to be human, the conscious, the subconscious way of thinking. All of that's covered in those books. And lastly, thank you for watching this video.